Thank you for being here. Today's press conference was scheduled to discuss Operation Ceasefire, an initiative that was spearheaded by Chief Singletary to help get guns off the street and out of the hands of the violent criminals that have been committing crime throughout the city of Beaumont. I'd like to introduce Chief Jimmy Singletary.
Before we get started this morning, I'd like to recognize the individuals that are standing up next to us today. To my right, our city manager, Kenneth Williams. Next to him is our mayor, Roy West. And next to him is our special guest, U.S. Congressman Brian Babin. Next to him is Russell James, Assistant United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Texas. And next to him is Keith Gibbon. He's the district attorney. And next to Keith is the Assistant District Attorney, Brett Featherston. And Pat Canal is one of the Assistant District Attorneys at Jefferson County also. Next to Pat is our Sheriff, Zeta Stevens. And next to Sheriff Stevens is our ATF Resident Agent in Charge, Jennifer Owens. Thank y'all for being here. We do appreciate y'all joining us today to discuss the successful operation that we call Operation Ceasefire. This has been the largest violent crime operation in the history of the Beaumont Police Department. Operation Ceasefire began in mid-February in response to an increase in violent crimes, much like many communities are experiencing all over the country. Operation Ceasefire was created and aimed at interdicting, reducing, and disrupting violent crime by targeting prolific, repeat violent crime offenders. We were able to circumvent the lack of victim and witness cooperation as we interdict these suspects throughout this initiative. Operation Ceasefire was comprised of elements of the BPD Special Assignment Unit, the Special Services Detail, our Criminal Investigation Division, and Patrol, in collaboration with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Our 6-month-long operation yielded the following results: 891 high-risk traffic stops. These guns that you see here on the table were taken from these traffic stops. That's why we call them high risk. That's what our patrol officers do on a daily basis. And part of these officers right here did it this last 6 months. It's amazing how great they did. We arrested 268 folks, 12 of which were turned into federal firearms violations, with 80 firearms received. 80 firearms. This is the ones here on the table are just a portion of that. The arrests range from possession of a controlled substance to firearms possession and violations, unlawfully carrying a weapon, and possession by a firearm by a convicted felon. Many of the suspects arrested were known violent offenders with substantial criminal histories, and several were known homicide suspects. Reducing violent crime is a complex and long-term endeavor that requires collaboration among various stakeholders. In addition to our law enforcement, organizations and our citizens are very, very valuable. As you can see here today, we have tremendous support from our citizens and our organizations, and we appreciate that. We have the Citizens Advisory Committee represented here. We have 100 Club represented here, and BISD represented here. So we appreciate the community input and community support all these years, and we're going to continue to appreciate the support. I cannot express my gratitude enough to the officers who were a part of this operation. They worked long hours on their days off, confronting the most prolific, violent offenders in Beaumont, and they did it with the utmost professionalism. This is a part of a group of young men and women that actually participated in the operation. They did not want to be here. They wanted to go out and eat early lunch, but you guys need to see the guys that are doing this job on a daily basis out there in Beaumont, and we're very proud of them. You'll get to eat in a little bit, guys. The collaboration of the multiple units that we discussed and the partnership with area agencies marked a new way forward for the Beaumont Police Department. The goal that many of the strategies that developed during this operation will integrate into future policing. In closing, I would like for our citizens to work with us to prevent crime by not leaving your firearms in an unlocked vehicle. Please, please remember that. Do not do that. We need your help. The citizens that we're asking to help us we want them to cooperate with our investigations. Many times in the past, we've had our citizens. They know who shot them. They know who did the damage, but they don't want to cooperate. It's been a very, very difficult time for us. That's why that's one of the reasons why we initiated this operation. We appreciate all of you showing up today. It means a lot to these officers. I know that they have your support. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Beaumont City Manager, Mr. Kenneth Williams, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Chief. Can you hear me okay? Good morning, and thank you for coming out to participate in this event this morning. It is a great time for Beaumont, so we appreciate you for participating. I'd like to thank Chief Singletary for the work that he's done on this project. I'd like to thank the officers who worked on this project. They made quite the sacrifice in doing this. When this was taking place, I would have conversations with Chief Singletary, and it's like, Chief, what are we doing? What are we doing? And he's like, City Manager, don't worry. We're working on this thing. I can't talk about it yet, but we're certainly working to solve it. So I trusted him, and as we went through it, then one day he called me in and introduced me to the people behind me and say, hey, we're collaborating on an effort to get this done. So I felt much better. So I'd like to thank you again, Chief, for the work that you've done. And I'd like to thank the people behind me that have collaborated on this project. It's taken quite the effort to be able to get it done. I do want to talk a little bit to the families of Beaumont. We want you to know that Beaumont's a safe city. We are working to keep it a safe city, and we're going to continue that long into the future. Our police department is committed to that effort. Our city council is committed to that effort. We have a couple here today, Councilmember Getz and Councilmember Felshaw. And of course, the mayor's behind me. So we want you to know that it's important to us, and it's not just going to happen. For me as a city manager, it's a priority. When I talk with Chief, he's like, I'm surprised you're this interested. He just says, so next time we'll have a press conference, I'm going to get you to speak. But it's certainly a priority for city management. And we want to give the police department, give them the resources that they need to be able to fight this problem. And Operation Ceasefire has done that. We're looking at additional things and resources like future systems in this coming budget. But I want the community, you know, you have a safe city. We're going to make it safer for you. We want it to be one of the safest cities in the United States, quite frankly. And that might sound impossible, but that can happen. But we want our citizens to be a part of the solution. We can't do it without you. We need you to report events when they happen. We need you to communicate with our law enforcement officers and support them. And because you should expect an excellent quality of life as a citizen of Beaumont, we want that expectation. In closing, we will not tolerate violence, shootings in our city. As long as myself as a manager has something to do with it, I feel that way about City Council, and the mayor's going to speak to you here in a minute. And Beaumont PD is committed to stopping gun violence in our city, without a doubt. I'm thoroughly convinced of that and that's happening. But we invite our citizens to participate. We have to have your participation in this effort. You know, whatever we need to do, we'll do that. But thank you, Chief. Thank the officers of Beaumont PD and the collaboration of these people. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite our mayor, Roy West, to come up and say a few words.
Chief Singletary, thank you. And certainly this is what collaboration looks like up here. And it's a good-looking group, and I'm the only one that got the message. Well, we didn't get the message about the tie. But otherwise, I mean, it's a good-looking group, and this is what collaboration looks like. And certainly, Operation Ceasefire, the only thing that'd make it better is rain today. So that was pretty good, really. But I want to thank the police department and all the hard work that they do. And he's talking about the future policing. And when we talk about future policing, we talk a lack of compliance by the victims and witnesses. I mean, we live in strange times, folks. We want to live in we want to be in a safer world, but we as a community have to show up. Our law enforcement does an incredible job, and we have too much violence in Beaumont. And when there's shootings, but what you see most of the time is they're arrested right away. I mean, right away. So outside of future, which we're working on that, being able to see into the future and around the corners a little bit. I mean, we've got to get people involved in the community and realize it is going to take the entire community, and it takes us being collaborative. It takes trusting the police, and the police know how to show up. They do it all the time, and they've done a fantastic job. In this situation, you can see all the guns. Makes me nervous, but I'm sure they're all unloaded. And but also with the collaboration of our DA's office and the feds, and our congressman showed up today, so it's a good day. But I just want to thank the PD and for all the police officers that are out there. I mean, I love the chief. Y'all are the ones out there stopping these guys with these guns, and we really appreciate it because the risk is real, and we see and hear about it across the country, and it's heartbreaking when things happen. But as a community, we will do better. We're going to remind you all the time. Our police department does an incredible job in making these arrests without the victims and without witnesses coming forward. New technology, new information gathering techniques are all being utilized, and you can see the success of it. I'm excited about what's to come and some of the new technology that the police department will be using, but I'm also excited to see how the residents of Beaumont, Texas show up for one another, because that is where we'll see the greatest change. Our police department will continue to strive. I know our city manager talked about how it's something that he, as a city manager, is going to tolerate. It's not something as a council that we want to tolerate. It's not something that the police department's tolerating. But the residents can't tolerate it either. Y'all need to show up, folks, and that is what we're asking you to do today. God bless y'all, and thank you.
Now, I'd like to introduce a longtime friend, old friend, and definitely a friend to law enforcement. He graduated the same year I did from a different school. Neither of these schools are there, but we still have the memory. I've been keeping up with his career, and he's done quite well. I met him 3-4 weeks ago with my family in Washington, D.C. He gave us a great tour of the Capitol. And I told him what we were doing about this operation. He was very interested. So interested that he called a meeting with a leadership in law enforcement in this area, in his district, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He wanted to know what law enforcement needed to do better. That's never happened before, in as long as I've been around, that a United States congressman, comes in and wants to ask the sheriffs, the chiefs, what they need to make the job easier. He is a pro law enforcement, and I know he looks a lot younger than I do, but he is the same age. And now I'd like to introduce our Congressman, Brian Babin.
Chief, thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. I know he's, I've known Jimmy Singletary for many, many, many years. Appreciate his long years of service to law and order here in Jefferson County and Beaumont. We really appreciate you and appreciate the invitation to come here. It's a tremendous honor to be standing up here with so many leaders of Jefferson County and Southeast Texas, and to see members of law enforcement out here and prosecutors. By the way, my son Lucas Babin is our DA up in Tyler County. He and I rode down here together because we feel like this is something absolutely worthwhile for Southeast Texas to support this endeavor that you've come up here with and invited us to, Chief. Tremendous honor. So many dedicated law enforcement officers involved in this Operation Ceasefire to get these thugs and to get guns off the street. And I don't think you need to look very far to see that we've gotten a lot of guns off the streets here of Beaumont, Texas. By the way, it's my hometown. And I want to acknowledge and thank my longtime friend again, Chief Singletary, the Beaumont PD. Want to thank every one of you guys. Sheriff Stevens, thank you so very much, and Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. District Attorney Keith Giblin, former judge. Really thank him for his long years of service as well, and I know he's going to do a great job here at the DA's office, and also the rest of your staff. We really appreciate nice meeting you all too. Beaumont City Manager Kenneth Williams, appreciate you. He's a Lufkin, a guy from Lufkin, and I live in Woodville now, so he's not too far north of me, as his hometown that is. And want to thank the ATF and other agencies, U.S. Attorney's Office, Brett Featherston. Were you up here? Yes. Yeah, okay, sorry, Brett. And of course the mayor, thank you, and members of the city council. We really appreciate you all being here too. Since I was elected to Congress, I'm in my 5th term. It's amazing how fast it's gone by. And even before I was elected to Congress, I can tell you that my support for law enforcement was second to none. It's been absolutely steadfast. And over the past several years, I have really fought tooth and nail, extremely hard against the radical and dangerous philosophy that we call defund the police. This is a movement because I have been supporting legislation to push back on this and ensure that law enforcement nationwide, but especially here in Texas, has the tools necessary to accomplish their mission. This successful operation that you have here, Chief, is a very good example, a perfect example, I should say, of why funding law enforcement is so incredibly vital to the safety and the prosperity of our communities, our state, and our entire nation. We are a nation of laws, and without you here today, and your unwavering Texas grit, chaos would surely reign supreme. As we've seen in so many of our other areas across the country, not so lucky to have leaders like this, and including where I spend about half my time, and that is in Washington, D.C. It's lunacy to think that you can hamstring your police forces and still keep your citizens safe. It just doesn't work, and we've seen the proof in the pudding. Last week I was asked, how do you see the Beaumont of the future? My response was the very following, and it's a statement that I believe wholeheartedly, and that is, by working together, I have no doubt that we can build a better, brighter Beaumont where all residents can flourish and be safe. So I just want to say thank you very much. We appreciate you all so very much, the media here as well. Also want to introduce Laney Brown, who is our senior regional director here. Anything we can ever do for you, never hesitate to call on our office because I believe in, most of the time people come into my office with their hand out. They want money, but we want to get the money to the right places and the right people, and that is what is so important. So Operation Ceasefire does push the ball in the right direction in our shared endeavor to ensure the well-being of this wonderful city where I grew up personally and its great citizens. And again, a special thank you to Chief Jimmy Singletary, for inviting me here today, and all of Beaumont PD and everybody else that's in this room. Congratulations to all you officers and you agencies on a job very well done, and may God bless you. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
At this moment, I'd like to bring up our District Attorney, Keith Gibbon.
Thank you, Chief. One thing the Chief may have missed in this, and it wasn't intentional, but I have to tell you that Chief Singletary and the staff here at BPD, this is not something that they just did spur of the moment. This operation involved months and months and months of planning, and it involved the gathering of intelligence to determine targets and areas that were suffering from gun violence. And so Chief and the rest of the Beaumont PD staff invited us early on. These people sat through meetings involving this operation for literally months, and it was meticulously planned. And so one thing I want to thank Chief for is that he involved all of us in it to give our input, and I want to thank, we're very, very fortunate. I've said it time and time again, there's no place in the United States where federal, state, and local law enforcement collaborate with each other like here in Jefferson County in the Eastern District of Texas. And so this was an amazing, amazing project, and I'm very, very proud of the men and women in blue that did this, and they did it at night. They were away from their families, and they put themselves in danger. So if you see any one of them out there on the street or any place, go up and shake their hand and tell them good job. Thank you so much.
And now I would like to ask Sheriff Zeta Stevens to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank all the men and women, Jefferson County deputies. Kelly Cole and your crew have been working, diligently to make sure that we get these guns off the street. I grew up here in Beaumont, and so it is a passion of mine to make sure that my parents, who are still here in their 90s, are safe. Lots of people in this room have family members and still reside in this community. So it's important. What we're doing is important. I think I would be remiss if we don't talk about defund the police. This project takes overtime. I have officers on the streets. Jimmy has officers on the street getting overtime for this. I want taxpayers to understand that. We cannot get guns off the street, arrest people, keep this community safe without them calling in, without us working those hours. And so when we talk about defunding police, when we talk about resources, I think it's important to remember that. I am passionate, once again, about keeping this community safe. And so when I hear people talk about how unsafe the city of Beaumont is, know that the boundaries don't just end at the city limits of Beaumont. The same crooks that are in Beaumont, guess where they go? Jefferson County. Beaumont is in the jurisdiction of Jefferson County. And so again, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for including us. Thank you to my guys. Thank you to your guys. Family members who push our guys out every night. Watch them go out and get shot at. Watch people call me or call Jimmy complaining about our officers and the jobs that they're doing or not doing. Remember, while you're sleeping safely in your homes, things are going on that you don't know about to keep this community safe. And so, do I sound impassioned about it? I am, because I have to deal with talking to officers' families and deal with complaints every day about our officers who put it on the line without a lot of support from sometimes the community. And so I want you to know we're out there working, and I appreciate your continued support, but make those phone calls. Tell us where the crimes are. You got to support us in terms of investigations. You know who the crooks are. I'm trying to solve a murder now, and there are 2 million people out there, and nobody seems to know who shot the guy. Is that real? It's not real. And so I need you guys in our community, and I want the media to put that out there. Help us stop the crime in our community. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Congressman Babin said a shout out to his law enforcement son. I've got my daughter here who's, I wouldn't let her be a police officer, but she is the department head and criminal justice at Lamar State Orange, so she's here. And I know that I'm at in the fourth quarter of my career, But I'm looking at these men and women and lined up around the room. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there's not a group of law enforcement people in the entire country as good as they are. They looking at them, it's scary sometimes. I come out to the from the building and I see them, and sometimes I say, "Oh my gosh, are those guys mine?" And sure they are mine, and I love them. I appreciate the heck out of the job that they do. And thank all of you for coming today. It's very important to these guys who made all these stops and who made all these things happen to see that they have the support that you guys bring today. Thank you very much.
Thank you again for coming. We're not going to take any questions at the podium, but everyone will be here and you will get an opportunity to interview them and ask them different questions. Again, thank you very much.